welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess and today we are talking about this chunky bitch, A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah Janet Maas. So here's another standalone review to add to my total of 2 that I've already done this year. But we are going to get into a lot of my thoughts, which is probably going to turn into a rant. So before I start, I will do a non-spoiler part and then I will go into spoilers. The spoiler part won't be in any kind of order because I didn't write anything. This is just my feelings spewing out to you. So sorry, it's not going to be like well organized, but that's just how I am. Also, I know about the recent drama with Sarah Janet Maas. Obviously, I covered it on my channel. I'll link the video up below if you are wondering. But I just want to say that I am in support of Palestine, free Palestine, and also I didn't buy this book. I also said that I did not want to read this book because I hate Nesta. So somebody who wanted me to read this book bought it and sent it to me. Thank you, Ivy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's a chunky book. It's an expensive book. So I thank you kindly for sending it to me. So I did not buy it. And then also, I feel like I had a third thing I was going to say. Oh, I know a lot of Sarah Janet stans exist. I know some of you are probably watching this video, and that's great. If you identify with Nesta, okay, great for you. You love this book. Great for you. And these are my feelings, and that's it. Let's get it popping. Also, my hair's getting retwisted tomorrow, but I needed to film this video today, so please, just put this video on and like clean or something. Please don't look at me. I look a mess. And I know y'all always be lying to me in the comments, and I appreciate you trying to hype me up, but like, please, ignore. All right, so also, last thing, if you have not read this book, obviously, and you want to read it, I wouldn't watch this video, or I wouldn't watch the spoilery part. But also, if you haven't read the first 3.5 books that come before this, and you do plan to read those, I wouldn't watch this video because there will be potential spoilers from the previous books in the series. But A Court of Silver Flames is the 4th book in the Court of Thorns and Roses book by Sarah J. Maas. We have A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Then there was a novella called A Court of This Should Have Been Written. Frost and Starlight, that's what it is. And then now we have Silver Flames. And now, once this book came out, they have been rebranded as adult. So they got cover changes and they could up the price. But anyway, so adult to Sarah meant more smut. And that's it, because that's it. So this book follows Nesta. In the original series, obviously, there's Feyre, and she has 2 sisters, Nesta and Elaine. Feyre was turned to Fae. Nesta and Elaine weren't until the end of Akabor. So Nesta we see in A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a novella, basically the day in the life of them around Christmas time, or whatever they call it in this book. And we see that Nesta is not dealing with the after effects of the war. Her dad was killed in the war, and she has experienced a lot of trauma, so she's depressed. She's drinking a lot, having a lot of sex, living in a really shitty apartment when she could be living in a mansion with her sister and her sister's bae and everybody else. So that, at the end of that book, I think it was alluded to that they were going to try to have Nesta help her out of her depression by like sending her to train with Cassian. Anyway, that's how this book starts. So Nesta is living in her shitty apartment. She's drinking, she's fucking, she's like, hey, I'm drowning out my feelings. What's up? The family, the inner circle are like, oh, this raggedy bitch. She just drinking, running up bills. We got to get her help. So their idea of somebody who is suffering trauma from a war, seeing their father die, being changed to Fae, etc., is we need that bitch to work out and work in the library. Like, okay, it is a fantasy world, so maybe not therapy, but it's a fantasy world, so you could put therapy in there. I just don't like that idea that all you need to do is like focus your energy on something, train, work out, and you can recover from depression, because it don't work like that. So I don't like that. And that is literally this entire book. This book is like 750 pages. The majority of it is Nesta training with Cassian, like physically training with Cassian to learn how to fight, to wield a sword, all of that. She works in a library and she meets friends, and then they have sex. That is the entirety of this book. There may be 50 to 75 pages of plot, And the plot is, of course, they did defeat a bad guy in Aka War, but now there is looming danger, maybe an uprising, another war coming. And so they need to figure out who's on what side, who's planning what, and then magically there are these 3 things that they need to find because these things wield power and they don't want the bad guys to have them. That's kind of the plot. But there's like maybe 50 to 75 pages of that. The rest is training Nesta working in the library and making friends, and then sex. So if you want to waste 750 pages on that, go ahead. I wouldn't recommend it. Also, what else can I say that's non-spoilery? So many people said that they love this book because they related to Nesta. I feel like I don't know some of y'all because I'm worried. I'm really worried if you relate to Nesta because I think Nesta is a selfish bitch. After this book, still don't like her, do not care about her at all. No, not at all. And so from the first book, Nesta has been the worst. She's the oldest sister. When their family fell into poverty, she did nothing to help them out of it. Pharaoh, being the youngest sister, was the one who had to feed them. She was just a bitch, whining all the time. She was rude to her father for an entire life, even up to the time while he was dying, and now she feels guilt over it. Boo fucking who, I don't care. So people said they related to Nesta in this and they loved it. Some people said this was Sarah's best writing. So, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You're allowed to be loud and wrong. It's fine. But best writing, I mean, I think she might have used 20 less M dashes, so sure. But still everyone's purring, and I don't understand what that's supposed to sound like. And it makes more sense in a context of like somebody being like flirty or talking to another woman, or like a male or somebody who they're sexually attracted to. Okay. It makes more sense in the context of them talking to someone they're sexually attracted to that they would purr. Still don't understand how you purr out words, but whatever. But there's a part I think where like Rhysand purrs something to like Cassian or to Eris, and I'm like, what you purring at him for? I don't get it. Also, all of her words that she uses in place of a vagina or a penis are so annoying. Like, instead of saying clitoris, she says the apex of her thighs. Would you stop? Just use the damn word. It's adult now. You can say these things. And like, I don't know if there was velvet sheathed something, probably, but I'm like, just god damn it. There's some other words you can use. There's just a few, and just fucking use them. Just use them. It's really annoying. Also, I hate the word mate. I've hated the word mate since the third book in Throne of Glass, but whatever. In this world, they mate. Even though mates are supposed to be incredibly rare, everybody and their damn mama got a mate in this story because that makes sense. But I just hate hearing it. So she doesn't use a word like boyfriend, husband, baby daddy. No, it's always mate, male or female. And I'm so sick of those fucking words. Like, I just hate it. I hate it so much. So, I mean, if you think this is great writing, great for you. If you think Nessa's story and her journey, love that for you. Didn't love it for me. And that's really all I can say that's non-spoilery. So it's a really long book. It's about 450 pages, too long. I really believe that Sarah Janet, and somebody who she will listen to needs to tell her this, that two things. Adult doesn't just mean smut, because I love smut, but this is not an adult fantasy novel. No, she needs to really just like focus in on like a romance, because even I will say in this, the romance is not strong, it's just sex, but she needs to focus in on and just like own being like a romance slash like a fantasy romance slash erotica writer, and trim her books down to about this much and really just focus on that. And she can write a setting. I'll give that to Sarah Jane. She could write a setting now. So she could set up a world, set up this couple, and then they could just go at it the whole book and make it like 300 pages. That's where she really needs to focus, because this is not adult fantasy. And I don't know, this isn't like a super big deal, but it annoys me because this is going to be in the Goodreads Awards category for adult fantasy, and it's going to win because of her popularity over other titles that deserve it way more. And this should not, because it's not adult fantasy. Nothing is complex about this. There's not adult themes in here. There's just sex, a lot of sex. That's it. And it's so annoying. So annoying. Anyway, that's all for my non-spoilery thoughts. I'm now gonna put this book down because I might throw it. Hey, what's up? Hello. Editing Jessica here, obviously looking crusty. But I forgot to say that this I wanted to include in the non-spoilery part also, that the best character in this book is the house. So the House of Wind, we learn in this book, is sentient and it like interacts with Nesta and the other people, but really with Nesta, and it's the best character in this book. The house. So now, spoilers incoming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This was a mess. A goddamn mess. Like I've already said, it's way too long. So with the story so Cassian takes Nesta, and this is all against her will. Like, they go to the house wherever they live, and they're like, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna stop drinking, you're moving out your shitty apartment, you're gonna stop fucking everybody and their cousin, and you're going with Cassian to go train. And she's like, what if I wanna go? And they're like, you can't, you don't have a choice in this. I want to say that while I hate Nesta, I've watched other people and read other people's reviews and how people did not like how the inner circle treated Nesta, which is a valid point, but since I don't like her, I don't care, but that's a valid point, okay? So they say she has to go here against her will, the only way you can get up, and so they're going to stay at the House of Wind, which is like really far away. You can only winnow or fly up there. Nesta doesn't have those capabilities, so she won't be able to get back down to the town unless she walks down 10,000 steps and then walks back up 10,000 steps. So they're trying to get her sober and focused. And so they're supposed to be training in the Illyrian war camps, and Nesta refuses the first couple of days that Cassian takes her up there. So she, I don't know if he realizes it or she says something. Anyway, they decide to train back at the House of Wind. So the House of Wind is this big old house, and then there's also a library in it, under it, whatever, a library that serves as a sanctuary for women who are have survived trauma. Most of it is sexual assault. And so Nesta trains in the morning, and then in the evening she goes to work in the library and do whatever the head of the library tells her to do, and this is supposed to pull her out of depression. Of course, that's all you need to do. I wish I had known that. So like I said earlier, there's really not a plot. This story is really, I want to say character driven, but there's not even really good character work to say it's character driven. It's sex driven. Really, that's it. And I had a better experience with it in the beginning, the first couple 100 pages, because it's been a while since I've read a book from Sarah Janet, and I haven't been in a fantasy mood. So I was feeling good about being back in this world because it's familiar. It's not complicated. It's not something I had to do a lot of like thinking and focusing. I already was familiar with the characters, the places, all of this. So I was like, okay, this is good. This can get me back into a fantasy mood. I was happy to see familiar faces like Cassian, Azriel, Moore, Amryn, Lucian. I was like, hey, even though we don't get a lot of them throughout the story, but in the first couple 100 pages, we get to see some people, some refresher on what had happened. I was like, okay, you know, and like I said, Sarah Janet can write a setting, so I'm like, oh, Valaris, ooh, so cute, right? But then it was just like, about page 300, I was like, okay, this is already too long. It's too long. I still have 450 pages to go. So like I said, they're worried about this person over here and this person over here, if they're gonna like try to start a war. And then apparently now there's these magical objects, which I haven't reread the original trilogy. I only reread Agatar and I thought it was boring. So I read A Court of Mist and Fury and then Aqua War, whenever Aqua War came out, was that 2017? So it's been a while. If I forget something or misquote something, you know, don't take it too seriously. But I don't remember these 3 objects being mentioned in the previous trilogy. So now magically there's 3 objects that they need to find that have, you know, that are just these like immense power. There's a mask, a harp, and something else. And so they have to find those. And so that's like kind of a plot, but it's like over so much time that they make it seem like it's urgent, but it's not really urgent because, you know, they're just training and working in the library and doing stuff and fucking in between. So I'm like, it's obviously not that urgent. So there was that. Also, here's another problem I have with Sarah Janet, which I probably could have seen in the non-spoiler part, is that these books, after reading Kingdom of Ash, which was the final book in Throne of Glass, I have realized that there are no stakes. And after Aqua War, the stakes are never high enough in her books. So for things she's setting up to create tension and to stress you out as a reader because you care about these characters do not work for me, because I know they will not die. If they're main characters, she doesn't kill off main characters, or if she does, she brings them back to life. So she introduces this plot line that Feyre's pregnant, which if you read Throne of Glass, you knew that because of this weird scene of like Aelin falling through worlds and she says she's a Oh! She sees a pregnant Feyre. So Feyre's pregnant and they're all worried because they see the baby, whatever a Fey ultrasound is, and the baby has wings because Rhysand's Illyrian, so the baby's part Illyrian. And then also apparently Feyre can shapeshift, and she had shape-shifted into an Illyrian when they had sex and the baby was conceived. So the baby has wings, which is troublesome because Feyre's regular body is not equipped to birth an Illyrian baby with wings because of the shape of her snatch, her uterus, all that down there. So there's a problem. And most women who are not Illyrian, who are trying to have a partially Illyrian baby, die in childbirth, even a C-section, definitely we're so worried. Rhysand is so worried. So I know a lot of critiques in this book. People didn't like Rhysand. I didn't like him either. I mean, he was getting on my nerves in a quarter Akafas, but he decides not to tell Feyre this information because he's like trying to exhaust all avenues to figure out a way to save her. And so, you know, a little shady there not to tell your wife that she may die in childbirth. And so one, I'm just annoyed at the baby plot line, but whatever. And then two, weird. But again, I was not stressed about it or worried because one, I don't really care about Feyre that much, and two, I knew that she would not die. Sarah was not going to kill Feyre. Like, it just wouldn't happen. Also in Act of War, I think this happened, I faintly remember it, but they talk about Rhysand and Feyre, how they made a bargain to each other that if one dies, the other one dies. And I think that is so fucking stupid and also very toxic. So even outside of childbirth, if Feyre were to die in a battle or something or whatever, then Rhysand was gonna die also. So then you leave the Night Court with no leader, or the other way, because now the High Lady and the High Lord are gone. Stupid. And then even if childbirth wasn't a question or a problem, that she would be able to survive it. So if the baby made it and then something happened to Feyre, you would just die too, and then the baby doesn't have parents. Stupid. Also just incredibly toxic. I don't know how much of this story mirrors Sarah Janet's real relationship. I don't want to know. But I don't think that's healthy. Even though these are adult books, people who are super young are still reading them, and I think that's a super toxic relationship to present to them, to say like, my life is bound to yours. You can love somebody a lot. You can say, I would jump in front of a bullet for you, all these things, but if you die, I die? No. And obviously in the Fae world, they have the little bond thing, and so he probably, I don't know how he would die, but that to me is, this is Romeo and Juliet. Like, you die, I'm gonna kill myself. I can't live without you. No, I'm sorry. I know people love that super intense fated mate love, but that crosses the line for me. I thought it was too fucking much. And I'm glad Amren called them out how stupid that was, because have I said it enough? Just, it makes no sense. So I hated that. Then also with the finding the items, I wasn't worried about that either, because again, the stakes are never high enough. I know at the end of the day, they're all gonna win and they're all going to live. There may be a minor side character that's died, but nobody important, no one in the inner circle is going to die. And so I will say my favorite scene in the book was when Nesta's trying to like sense where one of the objects are, and they go to this place called the Middle, which I've never heard of before, that has like a bog where like no one goes, kind of like this wild place. And Cassian like places her in a tree because he has to go off and like look for Azriel. And so she kind of like wanders off because why not? Nessa's a hard-headed heifer. And she gets like pulled into the water by like a harpy or something. And that was probably the best scene in the book, the most tense, like felt like, oh, I didn't think she was gonna die, but I was like, ooh, something's actually gonna happen, where she found the map. So I thought that was the best scene. But other than that, didn't get a lot of Azriel, and when he was there, he was just kind of like brooding to himself, and didn't get a lot of more because she was off doing other things. Barely saw my baby Lucien. I know it's supposed to be Lucian, but I refuse. It's Lucien, okay? Barely saw him, only 2 times. And then, who else did I like? Amren, she's just not the same. And honestly, Amber should have died in an Aqua War, but again, she doesn't kill main characters. Another thing that bothered me, and I don't care because I know there are people who hate him so much, is the treatment of Tammy. Justice for Tamlin. Okay, yes, he did wrong. Yes, he should have been so controlling of Pharaoh, thinking he was her property, all of these things. I'm not saying that Tamlin is this perfect person. But everybody else in this court has done things, has gone through things, and so has Tamlin. But no, Tamlin don't get forgiveness. My man's is torn up. He's roaming around in his animal form. He is depressed. But no one cares. They're like, I don't fucking care. Just, you know, the Supreme Court could go up in flames for all I care. I'm like, well, it's fucking rude. And I want justice for Tammy. Okay, I want justice. Also, Rhysand's basically acting like Tamlin 2.0 in this because he, finds out that Pharaoh may die in childbirth and doesn't tell her. And then there was something else, like, he was just acting really guarded, and since she was pregnant, putting up the shield around her, not wanting her to do anything. Like, he was just acting really, like, borderline Tamlin in this book. And so I thought that was whack. Also, the sex. While I do love smut, I just wish she could write it better, and they just became repetitive. And some of the things she says, I'm like, girl, yeah, I know you've had sex because you have a baby. Where are you getting these images from? Like, she says that Nesta impales herself on Cassian's. What? I just picture, like, I picture his ween coming through, like piercing her stomach or something. Like, this is terrible imagery. And then, like I said, with the apex of the thighs and all these dumb things that just, instead of saying the words that they are, but like, okay, I enjoyed those parts, whatever, reading it. And then she also, in this, there's a lot of masturbation in here, both Cassian and Nesta. And some people are like, I didn't know that Cassian masturbates. I'm like, I mean, it's fucking normal. I don't know why it's such a problem, whatever. But, you know, love that because masturbation is great. And then there's a part where Nesta's giving Cassian a hand job, and she says she could barely get her hands around it. I'm like, bitch, if you don't get out of here with everybody and their enormously oversized dicks, this is so unrealistic. I need you to stop it. Like, what is it? What is it? Come on, Sarah, please stop it. It's so annoying. So many things that I could say. Nesta also makes friends with these two people, one person from the library and someone named Emery who lives up near the Illyrian war camps, who is Illyrian and was sexually abused or assaulted by a family member, I think, a cousin, or at least some man. And then Gwen, who works in the library, is there because she's there for the sanctuary for the people who've been assaulted. I know a lot of people said that Sarah writes trauma so well, and I have not experienced sexual trauma, so I cannot speak to this. However, I wonder why, I just don't get why all her trauma only has to be sexual assault. Like, other things can negatively affect people and it doesn't have to be sexual assault. Like, I just, like, does that sound weird to, like, can you vary up your trauma? It's just like, and I'm not trying to discredit if this is her experience, if it's not her experience, I'm not trying to bring that into, I'm just saying that's everything. Cassian's mom of sexually assaulted. Gwen, Emery, Nesta, like, it's like, pick something else. I don't understand. It's like, women, that's not the only thing that can happen to us. I just, like, you know, maybe people have been and they can relate to that, but it's just like, that's just always the thing she goes to as somebody's backstory, is they were sexually assaulted. And then her villains are like, oh, he sexually assaulted someone. And also, speaking of villains, her villains are very like, ooh, so bad, but they don't do anything. You just hear about them, and then they're supposed to be this most all-powerful, immortal, can't die, nothing can take them out, and then magically in this book, Nesta kills somebody, and they're like, oh my god, she just like, oh, I jabbed him with a sword, he's dead. I didn't even talk about Nesta's power because I don't even know what it is, and so Sarah doesn't know what it is either. So at the end of Aqua War, Nesta like is thrown in the cauldron. She becomes Fae, but she also, it's described as her taking something from the cauldron. So she has some super power that no one knows about. So it's like super dark. They talk about it in the book, like hinting they can see silver flames in her eyes or whatever. And so once it's revealed what her power is, Cassian asks Rhysand, he's like, it's death. What does that mean? What do you mean her power is death? Like, she could touch somebody and they die. She can control dead people. Like, it's never really explained what her power means. And I don't like that, because suddenly she was like this all-powerful person. She could put her power into like weapons if she made them. So then she had these magical swords. and then she could just destroy these beasts that could have never been destroyed before. They've been alive for millennia, and then Nesta comes in and she's like, be gone, and she kills them. That's what happens to the bad, like the villains in this story. And I'm like, how so boring. They're on page, you hear about them for multiple pages, and they're actually on page for like 2 pages, and then Nesta kills them. I'm like, wow, so scary. And then also, speaking of these special swords, so these swords, there used to be swords like this that existed eons ago. They're gone or lost to time, Amren says. And so Nesta made these swords, and they hinted at these swords would be powerful enough for Rhysand to become High King. Instead of there being all the lords of the court, he would just conquer them all and be High King. And at first, Amren is like, these swords are so powerful, we do not need to have them out. Put them away. No one needs to know they exist. No one needs to touch them. She leaves. What does Rhysand do? He's like, oh, let's look at the sword. She comes back, I knew you wouldn't listen. And then she's like, well, you know, since you got him out here, you should be High King. And I'm like, bitch, you 2 minutes ago, you just said, like, no, this is like world destruction type of power. And now you're like, you know what? Why don't you just conquer everybody? To the credit of Sarah, I guess right now, Rhysand's like, no, I don't want to do that. But I have a feeling in later books it's gonna happen, and I'm not about that life. And I know some people with the controversy with Sarah, Israel, and Palestine were saying there are colonial settler themes in her books. I would argue that that's a lot of fantasy books. I'm not trying to stick up for her, but the timing is so ironic with that coming out and then this book, because there is a line in there that Amren says this power or this position is your birthright. And I was like, not cute. But I really feel like later down the line that's gonna happen with Rhysand, and I hate it. But he right now is saying no, but I don't like that idea, and I don't understand the flip-flop of a character so quickly back and forth. But that's like the majority of the book. There's literally like training. She goes to the library. She tries to walk down the 10,000 steps because she wants a drink. She makes it, like, she just keeps making progress, realizing training is making her stronger. Arguing with Cassian. They, you know, first, you know, it's them getting each other off and then they're having sex, but they're like, just sex. And that's it. Repeat. So it's like training. I'm getting stronger. Working in the library. I'm making friends. Sex. Why isn't he coming to my room? Why isn't she coming to my room? There's really no romance because we already know they're mates, and it's just them having sex until they have enough sex where they're like, ugh, and they vomit out some feelings, and then anytime they have an argument or something, they have sex, and I'm like, yeah, that's a great way to handle a relationship. And, you know, in between that, they're like, oh, let's go look for one of the items. Oh, we found it. Oh, I slayed somebody. Then training, library, sex, training, library, sex, all these things. Then also, so Nesta and her 2 friends, she invites them and other ladies to come train with Cassian and Azriel because she wants to like empower them. And so they like joked about them being as strong as Illyrian males, and you know, the only thing standing between them is the blood right, which is something that Illyrian men go through, where they're like kidnapped in the middle of the night, dropped on this mountain, and they have to like, somebody just rang my doorbell. Someone came to pick up their ice cream order, and I totally forgot, and so somebody's awake now. Huh, they woke you up, huh? Tell the people hello. Okay, I forgot what I was talking about. Okay, so they're dropped on this mountain or whatever, and they have to cross these crazy distances and go through all this and basically fight to the death to try to make it to the top to be crowned like champion. So I'm out of breath. So Rhysand, Cassian, and Azriel did theirs the same year, and they had like a bargain between them where they all reached the top at the same time, so they were crowned champion together. So Nesta and her 2 friends are kidnapped and thrown into the blood right, and long story short, they're battling. Of course, they make it to like one of the final parts. Then Nesta is like, I'm gonna make this grandstand and save everyone so my friends can make it to the top. So her 2 friends make it and win this battle against Illyrian males who trained their entire life for it, and they've been training for 6 months, and Nesta holds off all these males the whole time. And then this apparently was the plan of one of the villains to capture Nesta, even though she waits. They're out there for like multiple days, and she waits to almost the end of the competition to try to come capture Nesta. Anyway, of course they prevail. Nesta ends up being able to kill her very quickly, even though she's supposed to be this like immortal whatever. And then it's like, yay, her friends are champions and she's alive. So again, there's no stakes. Like, I knew, like, I didn't know they would win it, but I figured they would at least make it to like the top of the mountain and definitely survive. There's just never like, oh, I'm like really worried. And maybe people are, but maybe you just ignore that Sarah Janet doesn't kill off main characters, and you know, that's great for you that you can have that suspense, but it does not exist for me. Boy. I'm trying to think. I feel like I have more feelings about this book, but I didn't write any of them down, kind of just going off the cuff. But overall, this was way too long. There really is no plot. Things are just super convenient, and a lot of things don't make sense even within her own world. Like, she's breaking her own rules. Sit down! Breaking her own rules, like 2 women who've trained for 6 months can beat out Illyrian males who trained for years and years and years to win this competition. Also, like, at one point, Nesta does make it down the stairs, 10,000 steps, and I'm like, do you know how many steps 10,000 steps is, Sarah? I don't think you do. Just things like that where I'm like, you wrote this world, so you should be the one setting up the scale and the levels of strength and all these different things. And sometimes I think she forgets or just doesn't care to consult things she's written previously. Wait, in the last part. So, you know, Nesta survives, whatever, kills one of the bad people, comes back just in time, favors having the baby a little bit early. So she's in danger. They tried cutting it out. Oh no, blood loss, yada, yada, yada. So Nesta basically, like, I don't know if she touches Feyre or whatever, and she's like, dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away from here. Sorry, if you know, you know. But she's basically like, Cauldron, please, like, I'll give you back my power. Just show me how to save my sister. Show me how to save my sister, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she puts on all of the things. So she had found the mask, the harp, and whatever the other magic item was. So she puts them on. She calls the goblet. She's like, Goblet, please. Is it the goblet? What was it? The cauldron. And she calls the cauldron, like, please, Cauldron, please. I'll give you back the power I took from you. Just show me how to save my sister, which it does. Feyre is fine. Baby is fine. Woo! And then Nesta says to Cassian that while she was in there saving Nesta, that she changed her body so that it could easily birth an Illyrian baby. What? Everybody does not need to be married, mated, and having goddamn babies, Sarah. I know that's your life. I'm glad you're happy, but come on! Oh my God. What? She changed the anatomy of her snatch so she could later in life have an Illyrian baby. When has Nesta ever hinted at wanting a partner, a baby? Never. But, you know, she's like, for the future, I'm ready. I'm disgusted. I hate it so much. I can't remember. Let me look at the last. Oh my God, you're so cute. Oh, Feyre's baby's named Nyx. Hate it. So I think that they don't have the mating ceremony yet because Nesta said she wanted something elaborate and Cassian was like, why do you need something elaborate or something? So I just re-skimmed the last pages. So I don't think it happened. I'm pretty sure Sarah will probably write a fucking novella about their mating ceremony and it'll be stupid and they'll be fucking in the air or something like that. But this was just too much. I don't even want to call this like fan service fan fiction because there's fan fiction that is better written than this. She has gotten in so good with Bloomsbury and people just buy whatever she writes. I don't think anyone is editing this. I don't think anyone is reading it and saying, hey, maybe you should find a fucking plot. This truly isn't an adult fantasy. This is more like a fantasy romance book. Like, obviously money always wins over everything, but it's just really annoying because there are talented adult fantasy writers who do not get the attention and acclaim that she does. And not like there's anything wrong with fantasy romance. I just just want her to be the right category, and I want her to focus so that she can actually like write a good story, because this is not a good story. There's not a good romance in here. They don't grow. They don't like have a relationship. They just fuck until they finally feel comfortable with each other to talk about stuff, but there's no real relationship. He trains her, they sleep together. Great. There's no real relationship. Her sex scenes are repetitive. We get it. You know, his dick is big. Wow, wow, wow. And it's just very meh. I don't understand. And they don't need to get longer. Being an adult book doesn't mean you have to be 700 pages. It really doesn't. So I don't think she understands what writing for an adult audience means. And obviously I haven't read Crescent City. I don't want to read Crescent City. What is it, 800 pages? Again, length does not equate to an adult novel. So I'm just very upset. I'm very upset at this book because I wanted to at least like mildly enjoy it, and I did in the beginning, but after that it was just like, get on with it. And if I hadn't been buddy reading this with someone, if someone had not bought this for me, I would not have read this, or I would not have kept going. Actually, I wouldn't have read this book. And if I wasn't buddy reading it, I would have DNF'd it. I definitely started skimming towards the end because I was so over it. I feel like Cassian even wasn't the same. He just very much was like, different, just always focused on Nesta. Like, he's been a war general for Rhysand for how many years, but now he doesn't know how to like politic and like handle negotiations and stuff with other courts, and I just don't like that. Elaine is boring. I don't even know what she's doing. She gets hooked up with Lucy and I'm gonna be really upset. There's just a lot that I didn't like about this book, but I did like in the beginning being back in the world and seeing some of my faves, even if they weren't acting the way they usually do. I did like that bog scene, and obviously the descriptions are always great. The rest of it can suck a dick. Oh wait, one more thing. Oh my god, this is already at 39 minutes. Holy shit. One more thing, and I don't know if this bothers anybody else, but so what is Fae is like a Celtic story, like, you know, the myth of Fae is like Celtic mythology, I think. And so I just don't understand why she just doesn't stay there. Like, she uses like everything. So one of the villains she names Koschei the Deathless, which is from Russian folklore. And I don't appreciate that. I really don't. I don't think we've ever heard of him before. And she just like, oh, I'll call him this. And I'm like, no, I don't like that. Then Nesta and her besties are calling themselves Valkyries. And I'm like, oh, so we're taking it from Norse mythology now. Great. And because apparently Illyrians, is Illyrians North too? I don't know, I've never heard of that, but Valkyries were like this badass female fighting group back in the day, and they're recreating that. Woohoo, whoop-de-doo, great. We'll love to see it. We really don't. And then one of them, Gwen, teaches Nesta something to like help her, and it's really just like meditation and like focused breathing. And I'm like, well, that's kind of originated in Asia, so cool, we're taking that. And there was something else that was like Greek mythology. She just like she was like, I'll take that. Oh, let me borrow that. I don't know. It just bothered me. There was just a lot thrown in here. And I'm like, girl, you can't have it all. But she's trying. Anyway, I probably left out something. I hope that somebody in the comments reminds me of things that I forgot. But it was whack. And also, as far as the physical book, this was bound really poorly, because you see how big this book is. But like the middle, do you see this? Where like it's not like put together well. This is already separated. I'm like, good thing I'm not gonna reread this, because probably reread it and probably fall apart. Anyway, please leave any thoughts and comments in the comment. Please tell me any of your thoughts if you read it. If you didn't read it and you don't plan on reading it, just like, let's chat about how bleh this book was. And of course, so if some of you will be like, I loved it, you know, that's a great review. But I want to hear from the haters, okay? I want to hear from the naysayers. I want to hear from the 3 stars and below. Tell me your feels. I mean, if you rated it 4 or 5, you can tell me too. I'm just saying. Anyway, that's it for me. I am tired now. I've held this book too long. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. But if you watched this whole video, thank you so much. Please give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing. Check out my description box. Always has stuff, lots of information, lots of links to things that are going on, a link to my social medias, ways to support my channel, and that's it for me. Nigel, do you want to tell them bye-bye? Tell them bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Okay. Stay hydrated, blessed, moisturize, and sunscreen, and we'll see you in our next one. Bye!